Hi, welcome back to Nancy Jean's Garden. And today we're starting a sort of a series on the world of woo numbers. If you listened to yesterday's show, you know how to figure out your life path number, which is based on your birthday. It's really easy. Add all the digits together and simplify it down to a single digit. If you didn't see that class or look at that session, you can go back and look at it. You may already know what your life path number is. And the reason I wanted you to know your life path number is because we're going to take sort of a look at 1 to 9 in all the different disciplines that I feel familiar enough with to talk about, which is astrology, numerology, sacred geometry, and tarot, and a thing called the angel numbers, which is a set of numbers that were put together, and they go up to 999. And when people say to me, but I keep seeing 222 or 333, well, this is a way to kind of demystify those numbers and understand numbers have a vibration, and that vibration can be affected by us and what's going on around us. So to begin with, the simplest one is there's apps to get it on your phone. You can look it up online, angel numbers. But the angel number 1 means stay positive. Everything you're thinking about right now is coming true. Be sure that you're only thinking about what you desire. Remember to leave your fears to God and to the angels. And it's sort of an initiation. You're thinking about something, let's get going, let's get moving. And one you're going to find out very typically is obviously, we learn to count from 1. It's the beginning point. If you've ever seen an astrologic chart, it's like a giant wheel and it's got 12 segments on it. And each of those little pie things without their astrologic sign assigned to them is called a house. And the way you know where your house is in your astrologic chart depends on the time you're born. Your ascendant sets up where your house is. And each one of the houses has its own meaning. So if things are in the first house for you in astrology, the planets and the effects and the angles that are there will affect your personality, your outlook, and your appearance. And I'm going to link to Black and Orange, who's another tarot reader, who's also an astrologer, and I will link on her website. She has a really easy to pull down chart where you can see where 1 talks about it being like that. If the first sign, the 1 sign in astrology, the first sign in the astrologic year is Aries. It's the ram. And often Aries is considered kind of arrogant, and they're the ram and they're going to do what they want to do. Their ruling planet is Mars, so they can be pretty much, I'm going to do what I want to do. But it's the pioneering planet. It's a pioneering sign. People with a lot of Aries in their charts, they can be loners. They can be people who don't really need a lot of other people, but they just go ahead and do their thing. They're adventurous. The world will be very dull without Aries in it. They go out there and they push and they begin things. They start things. They invent things. That's just what their nature is. They're the pioneers. Then if you think about 1 as I've read it and I understand it when I deal with sacred geometry, when I build my grids, I do sacred geometry in the effect that each of these numbers has a different way of balancing energy. 1 is usually the generator stone in the middle of the grid. I also can have 1 standalone stone. Sometimes in a ring, there'll be a stone that's not made of the same vibration as the others, and it's there to help break up or change that energy. That's what 1 does. That's what 1 does to me in sacred geometry. It means self, or it can also mean I am the unity of 1. I don't need all that flu and all of the flower of life and all that stuff about it. That's what a 1 does there. 1 in tarot. Now, this is the one I know the best, and this is the one that got me interested in numerology and understanding how other systems saw 1. 1 in the tarot, in the major arcana, is the magician. And as you can see, he's pointing up like a one, as above, so below. He's the creator. He's the person who brings the energy in. He's the beginning and the end. He's the infinity symbol over his head. He's a very powerful little critter, and he means new beginnings and the beginning of the path of what they call the path of the fool. The second set of ones that are in tarot are in the ace cards of the suits. The Ace of Cups very clearly represents what cups represent. It's very watery, very warm. It's a soul card. It's the ace. The cups became, in normal playing cards, converted to the hearts. So it's the heart and that sort of thing. So it's the beginning of a journey for the heart. It's a beginning of a journey for the soul. The second set I'm going to look at is the Ace of Swords. Now, swords can mean conflict, but they can also mean justice, as this looks like. It's got the laurel wreath of justice around it. Ace of Swords are not, if you get the Ace of Cups, it's kind of a smoother beginning to getting into things. There's usually a little more conflict around the Ace of Swords, or things get going and then you have to think about it, because this also reflects air. It also is intellect and thinking. So you will stop yourself while you think about what you're doing when you're dealing with the Ace of Swords. The Ace of Wands, that's new beginning, new enterprises. You can see the wand is blooming. These are also sometimes called staves, and in this deck they're called rods. I don't know why that poor suit got all those different names, but in playing cards, they became clubs. Oh, the swords became spades. These became clubs. And but in the tarot, it means new beginnings, new enterprises. If you get this, you're probably heading in a new business direction, or a new direction in your life, or a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things. You've got all that glorious sunrise behind it. It's beginnings that way. Now, the other three suits are the cups, the swords, and the rods or wands. They're ideas. They're manifesting, but they're not quite here yet. This is the suit that means it's here. This is money. This is Pentacles. And when you get the Ace of Pentacles, it means money's coming towards you. It may not be here yet, but I tell you what, if I'm doing a reading and someone gets the Ace of Pentacles, I can tell I'm pretty sure the money's on the way, depending on where it shows up in the reading. But the Pentacles are the really manifest material things that exist on our earth. These things you can touch, hold, and move. So that's the beginning of those sorts of things. Now, in numerology, one has the same sorts of meanings. It means beginnings. It means being pioneering. It means being assertive. It's a more masculine kind of energy. It's a more, I'm out there on my own doing it energy. Not that women aren't out there doing it on their own. Trust me, I've done that. But it means that the general energy is more assertive, what we in our language and in our times would view as assertive. And in numerology, it also means if you go over and look at numerology, you take the letters in your name, and each letter is assigned a numerical value. And for the case of one, if you have A, J, or S in your name, you have a 1 in your name. And if you have a whole lot of A's, J's, or S's in your name, then you have a lot of pioneering, assertive energy, even if it's not in your life path and it doesn't show up elsewhere. There's a way you tally up how many of all the numbers you have in your name, and that gives you an idea of kind of where your life is going. And like the other things, it means beginnings, assertiveness, aggressiveness. And in life path, I ran across an article about life path crystals. And if your life path is a number 1, Garnet is your crystal. It's kind of like a birthstone for that life path. But also, if there are certain crystals that have vibrations that people have vibrationally or decide the frequency of them ties to the number 1. They may tie to other numbers, but they also tie to the number 1. And the numbers that they have in numerically linked with the vibration of 1 is aquamarine, azurite, golden beryl, and beryl is spelled B-E-R-Y-L, and emeralds are beryl. They're just a green, very hard beryl, very expensive green hard beryl. Copper, helidor, topaz, angelite, and bronzite. And bronzite's an interesting stone. It's self-cleaning. You don't ever have to wash it to clean it. I mean, it absorbs negative energy and it draws in positive energy. And I use that in my body and soul compass to help people balance their energies and to heal their body and their soul. So that's the number 1, the very beginning. 1 is the loneliest number. And I won't sing anymore because I can't. But it's a lonely number, but it's a fascinating number. And without it, we would not have assertiveness. We would not have pioneers. We would not have the universe giving us a place to start. So I want you to think about that and come back and visit me tomorrow, and we'll see what the 2s have got going for them. And if you have any other questions or comments, please leave it in my comments below. I want to also thank all the people who are subscribing and commenting on my channel. Please share my channel. I heard rather interesting discussions among some readers the other night saying, well, now that certain political changes have taken place, what are we going to talk about? And what I'm finding in my feedback from my audience is there's a lot of people that feel left in the dust about very basic information that has to do with the world of woo. And a lot of things in the world of woo, if you could just get the concept in one thing, you can follow it over to the other disciplines, and it's not nearly as scary as you think. So I'm here tomorrow to talk about 2s, and I look forward to seeing you then. Bye.